Hi, everybody. Adrian Fontes here. Did you know that the Democrats of Greater Tucson has a website, thedgt.org, and if you subscribe, it's only 20 bucks. You can support this great weekly communication where folks get together. Sometimes there's candidates, sometimes folks like me pop on to help understand what's going on in the world. The Democrats of Greater Tucson, thedgt.org. Join up today.
We are so fortunate to have a great speaker today, Alex Kack. Alex is the new Pima County Democratic Party Executive Director. And this was decided on at the Executive Board Monday meeting, and it was unanimous to hire Mr. Alex Kack as our next Executive Director. We've really been, very fortunate to have great executive directors over the years, and we've got another one. So congratulations, Al.
Thank you, Joe.
You might want to mention something or not about the laughing green shirt guy. I did see it come out when it came out way back when, but I had to look at it over again. And, not only were you attired very well, your laughter is infectious. So, but other than that, look, what's happening with the Pima County Democratic Committee? And take her away, Alec.
Well, I'm happy to be here with DGT. So thank you all for having me. Joe, thank you for that incredibly lovely intro, and hopefully I can live up to those words. Today is my first day, so you guys are like my very first meeting I am having as executive director. I've been down here with Shelley and Brian Bickle throughout the morning and kind of getting signed into everything and, learning where the light switches are, so to speak. The debut, yes. But we do have a lot of exciting stuff, I think, already in the works and planned for this year. I would say, that this is a weird time, I think, for Democrats. Let's not mince words or kid ourselves. I think we all are reeling from not just a presidential loss that a lot of us did not expect this past fall, but losses kind of all over the country at every level of the ballot that we really didn't expect. But in Pima County, we didn't see that trend really hold as much water. It's easy to say that this is a safe blue dot in a red state or a purple state, but there was actual progress that I think we can see was made here in Pima County. We saw Democrats actually expand their margins of victory for some seats. We saw Democrats raise more money than they had in past cycles here at our local level. We saw, for some of the truly sad losses we did have in Pima County, we actually saw them overperform the results of some of their predecessors that were our nominees. So I think we saw that there's a model here in Pima County that really, really works. We also don't get to take a year off here, as you all know. Here in Tucson and in Pima County, we've got municipal elections this year. And I think that, this goes without saying, we take those seriously. Just because there isn't a federal race doesn't mean that those elections aren't incredibly important. They are the ones we feel in our day-to-day life. So how does the county party kind of move forward, I think, in this environment? The things that I and the board and, of course, Eric Robbins, the chair, have been talking about as priorities. Right off the bat, there is this beautiful high-tech new podcast studio down here, which I'm sure many of you are aware of. That is a great option for us to have. I think one, both to be a communication channel for the county party itself, but also to be a kind of center of education for voters, for Democrats around the state and elsewhere, to learn about what is working here, to learn about our local elected officials, and really, I think, for people to really get an eye on what some of these folks' jobs really are. We don't always know all the responsibilities that our state and county municipal elected officials really have to do, or what their day always looks like. And I think we're going to get the chance to highlight some of that. It is also, though, a resource for our candidates, especially our down ballot candidates. This is something where folks can save some money possibly by having this party resource when they are our nominee, where they can have professional audio and video equipment and a comfortable environment to use that in. And I think as there's more and more attention placed nationally on the politics of Arizona and in particular Pima County, it's something that's really valuable for our elected officials and candidates to have. So we're going to get that up and running very quickly. It's already all set up, and I've been learning how to use a soundboard over the weekend. We, of course, have the internship program. It was a huge success last year. We're going to be carrying that forward. We're going to be getting new interns for this spring semester very soon, and we're excited to get them on board. We're going to kind of expand the curriculum of that program and try to make sure we're doing some nuts and bolts kind of campaign staff training so that we have that as a resource for some of our down ballot candidates as well. Udall is, of course, right around the corner. We are already in discussions about getting that set up. I think we're going to have a really amazing program. I will not be the MC this year as I was last year. If there's any questions about that, we've got some ideas kicking around for some folks that I think will be really great. And you won't have to listen to me, which I'm sure this is already getting long-winded. Fundraising to tie off of Udall is going to be paramount. There's always dips in the party fundraising when we have these little these kind of gap years, these off-cycle years, but we want to make sure we stay really competitive. Conversations I've had with the chair and the board, I think we're all in the line that this is a year where we're going to try to fundraise really aggressively so that we can accomplish these goals and kind of grow the Pima County Dem model. And of course, we need to continue to recruit PCs and fill PC vacancies. And I think we're going to take a very robust and very active approach to that starting in the spring. And a big part of that is going to be community re-engagement. One thing, and I don't know if you guys noticed it as much as I did, but that I thought Eric and Shelley did really, really well, was kind of reestablishing the Democratic presence around Pima County in non-political spaces. That is time consuming and a lot of work. And I'm looking forward to building on what they got started there, because we do need to be a community resource and to reach out to the community, to people who might be scared to go to an event that's a little inside baseball. And so I think I wanted to give you guys that kind of bullet list of things that I know we're going to be working on and taking action on really quick, and that I know are things that I've been hearing from folks around the community are important to them.
Are you all thinking about a breakfast fundraiser again?
There has been discussion of one. While there has not been a final decision yet, I think there's a positive feeling that we could have two events this year, both Udall and a brunch fundraiser. So that would be, I think, our biggest hope. I can't give you a final definitive answer, but I would, keep your eyeballs peeled, and maybe we'll have a definitive answer sooner rather than later on that.
Great, great. And how about the Catalina Democrats? Any ideas new and exciting to kind of revitalize that program?
Absolutely. So I will say there's a lot of discussion ongoing about what those plans will look like, and they are not final yet. But there are a couple things that I think have been finalized and there's broad agreement on that I can share. One of those, and I think for those who were Cat Dems for quite a while, you could remember that there was often of Mike, I think you definitely remember, there were often events that were catered exclusively for the Catalina Democrats, kind of regular membership perks, if you will, that the county party tried to make sure were built in or kind of designed. We want to make sure that we're getting back on to that grind and giving folks a real strong reason to be a Catalina Dem other than just the fact that they are amazing Democrats who are very generous. But we want to make sure that we're, one, showing the results of the work to the Cat Dems and how important their contributions really are to accomplishing all the things that your county party does. But we want to make sure also that there's really personal reasons and things that I think are maybe a bit fun and exciting. So I would definitely start by saying, look for events that are Catalina Dem specific to get started again very soon.
Good to hear. I know two members at least of the Democrats Greater Tucson that are excited about helping you.
Well, please reach out to me. If you don't have the email, my personal is just my first and last name at Gmail. And as of this morning, also director at pimadems.org. So feel free to drop me a line and I could use the help.
Yeah,
Great. When you get a chance,
being a
Yeah,
cat
go
dem
ahead,
gives
Mike.
you the prerogative of wasting the time of the executive director whenever you want.
That is true. That is a contractual obligation in the paper I signed earlier today.
Great. Well, let's see. Do we have any questions? Mike, I know there was a lot of activity in the chat room.
We sure do. Maria Rella, could be Rhea, says, will Pima Democrats be working on the governor race? I know we can't get involved so much in any possible primary, but certainly we'll be preparing for the governor's race in 26. So do you have any inside dirt on that?
Well, it's a very early and I'm very new here. So just full stop. I can't say that we have had concrete discussions about what our role in the midterms will be, but I absolutely can say that we will play a role in the midterms. I would say, one, we again are going to be providing campaign resources. I mentioned, of course, the new AV setup here, but we're going to try to bring back some old favorites as well, and make sure we have things that candidates, and especially those down ballot candidates, can utilize and use. As far as the top of the ticket, yes, to Mike Bryan's point, if there were to be a primary, we can't directly get involved or try to put our finger on the scale. There's still a lot we can do in primary season, though. We can talk about Democratic priorities. We can talk about Democratic successes. We can focus on voter registration, on strengthening our party locally so that when we have nominees and are competing against Republicans and other political parties in the general, that we're on the best possible foot here in Pima County to turn out the vote for our candidates from, all the way down at that PC level, all the way up to governor and everything in between. So yes, we will be taking a role in everything from organizing to providing resources, but we will not put our thumb on the scale, of course, by bylaws.
Yeah, I know that both Secretary Fontes and Attorney General Mays have been seriously eyeing the possibility of a primary of Governor Hobbs, so that should be interesting. Lillian Fox wants to know what are the Catalina Democrats? We mentioned it, didn't explain it.
Yes. So the Catalina Democrats, this will be a simple one, is a club that exists within the Pima County Democratic Party for quite some time. They are, I would argue, maybe our strongest sustaining members. These are folks who donate $1,000 or more every year and make the commitment to do so. And they fund a massive amount of our party priorities. The current rate, I think monthly, I'm not always great at remembering a number, but it's somewhere around 83 and I think $83 and maybe 33 cents, give or take. Again, I'm not always the best at remembering a number, but that would be per month. So it is a great program, and we're gonna really try to make it special for this year.
Yeah, we cover your salary, Alex.
That is correct. That was the part I was hoping to avoid saying in front of Michael Bryan specifically, but he'll never let me forget it for as long as I have this job.
Well, you handled it very well.
Maria would also like to know, do our interns there at Pima County Democrats help community residents who are struggling with getting help for SNAP and childcare and thus and such?
So I don't know if that was part of the curriculum before, but that's something that I think we absolutely would maybe want to pursue. Some of you may remember that there was kind of an ad hoc committee within the county party at the beginning of the first Trump term to really try to focus on making the county party a place where people in Pima County could get connected to resources ranging from I need benefits and assistance, maybe I'm struggling with my representative's office, to I need help navigating this municipal government structure, up to I need a lawyer and I can't afford it, but for XYZ thing. I think as we enter a new Trump term, we definitely would be interested in formalizing some of that. I will also say that I know that the HQ volunteers and HQ staff here have never really given up on doing that, even after that committee ceased to formally exist. this has always been a place where you could call and someone would try to find you an answer. So
And I'll just mention that congressional staff are specifically hired and trained to do exactly those sorts of interventions in federal programs. And for the state level, you can always contact also your state representative, and they will definitely help you out. One more question from the chat, and then we have a couple of folks with their hands up, Joe. Ben Armentrout wants to know, what is your plan to address the atrophy in Democratic support from younger voters, both in losses to the Republican Party and via low turnout?
yeah, so first off, I don't know if we've gotten a chance to meet, but great to meet you. That's something that's near and dear to my heart. So some of you may not know this because it was a very, very long time ago, but I was once the vice president of the Pima County Young Dems. When I stepped into that role, I will never forget it. It had just been taken over from a period of kind of a rough shutdown, is what we'll call it. The club had still existed on paper, but it didn't have any officers, and it had kind of ceased to function or exist. And somebody was appointed to be the new president. They reached out actually looking for my boss, wanting them to come down and be the guest speaker at a first meeting. And my boss chose to send me instead. I spoke to a small crowd and somehow got told that I was now appointed as VP, and the two of us got to work together, and we didn't have a small crowd by our third month meeting. We rebuilt that, and I think we might have been capping out at somewhere around a 60 or 70 average. Again, I'm not great at remembering numbers, but and it was kind of a long time ago. So that's some of the work that I think is very personal to me that I've done before. I also spent 2 years as a regional director and briefly as an interim state director for NextGen and for their organizing efforts across campuses here. I think that we sometimes take young people monolithically. Sometimes we assume that young people are going to be Democrats or they're going to identify with liberal and left politics. Sometimes that also means even when they already intrinsically do, we still have a tendency, I think, sometimes to go in and tell them what issues they should or shouldn't care about and how we feel about them. That is not something I want to see us bring as far as an energy into our, young youth recruitment and organizing. Young Dems for Pima County is still being restructured and rebuilt. Abby is doing a phenomenal job. My intention is to support her every step of the way. It is my understanding, is it Ben who asked this question?
Yeah.
Ben, my understanding, I believe you have restarted the U of A Young Dems chapter. Is that correct?
We have a college Dems chapter on campus and a statewide organization as of approximately a week or two ago.
Fantastic. So a couple of things on that. One, thank you and congratulations. Two, please let's get together and meet very soon. You and I want to hear what you guys are doing, and I want to know how I can be of help and how the county party can be helpful here. Whether that's fundraising, whether that's organizing, whether you just need somebody who has maybe kind of been there when it comes to having to kind of build or rebuild youth organizing apparatuses from scratch, and you just maybe need someone to vent to or a brain to pick. My line is going to be open for you. I can't tell you how grateful I am. But that is getting to be a long-winded answer. Again, this is something I'm very passionate about, but I hope that maybe gives you an idea of my philosophical approach to it. I think we need to do a bit more listening and a little less telling.
Definitely.
And I also think we need to maybe do a little more selling sometimes, especially with young people. This is a different generation. And I don't even think, frankly, it practically worked very well in my generation or the one before it, to take things for granted or to make assumptions about people and their politics. Let's hear them out. Let's state our case when we need to, and let's see if we can't grow a little bit.
Just a quick interjection here, Ben, while we have you, and thanks for joining us, by the way. I'd like to hear what your ideas are on this subject. I'm sure you have a few.
Yeah, it's a lot of what Alex said, but I think just being out there, being a place, like Alex said, for people to tell us our concerns and trust that we're going to tell the people in power and that they're going to listen to us. We plan to just be out on campus all the time at U of A, talking to as many people as possible. And then from there, try to get those with the power to come and make those same conversations and get students to trust that this party and its electeds care about them.
Do you think it would be helpful if the party were to bring out some of our electeds to campus and have meetings there on campus for students to meet their representatives?
Absolutely, 100%. Currently trying to think what the most effective ways to do that, to reach the most people, the right people, etc. But it's something I'd be really excited to have on campus.
Excellent. Ben, Shelly had mentioned you to me before, someone I need to meet. I'm assuming she's going to have your contact info based on that conversation. Would you mind if I reached out to you? Frankly, I'd love to get something scheduled soon. Maybe you and I can find a project that we can collaborate on, something that's, low bar of entry, easy to do, and maybe we can get something, tangible and real happening within the next couple months.
That's great. I will shoot you an email.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
That's wonderful. It's great to have that interaction, and we're with you, Ben. And I got a few. In fact, there's one other gentleman that's on our board who's a student at U of A who wrote in the chat room. You might want to reach out to him, Trey. So
Trey and I actually just got to meet this weekend, unfortunately under sad circumstances, is at a memorial service.
Yeah.
Many of you may have also been in attendance,
John
but
yeah.
Very, very impressive man, Trey. So I look forward to speaking with you. I got your text, and we will follow up soon.
Great. Okay. Mari, Jensen, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to speak to something that was in the chat with regard to Catalina Democrats, because I think that needs to be explained to people. I'm a PC in LD20 and the former treasurer for LD20. I joined Catalina Democrats about 6 years ago when Allison Jones was the chair of Pima County Democratic Party. She specifically reached out to me, explained what it was, and invited me to an event. As I've said in the chat, Catalina Democrats is a group of donors. And as I think it was Mike pointed out, that we pay Alex's salary. I'm not sure how many Catalina Democrats there are, but I think it's common to have a group of donors who are paying a certain amount of money have a special name and sometime invite them to special events. My husband and I have been Catalina Democrats for about 6 years. It's $1,000 a person, $1,500 per couple per year. Since we're actually 2 people, we give $2,000. And it's a fundraising activity, just as the Udall dinner is, and just as the breakfast that we did. But if we want to have a paid executive director, if we want to have an actual location for Pima County Democratic Party to join, that kind of fundraising is really important because it's ongoing. And I don't know about the ups and downs about numbers, but you have to have sustaining members or people who give a lot of money just as much as Arizona Public Media does. So I know people think, gee, maybe everybody should join. Well, yeah, sure. If you have the money, you should join. But that's what Catalina Democrats are. It's a fundraising. It's a fundraising activity. Thanks.
Well, great, and great comparison with Arizona Public Media. That fundraising there is a lot very similar to the fundraising a group like the Catalina Democrats do. Okay, Edlin, your hand is up.
I have no objection to this group. A lot of us give you guys, Alex, a sustaining every month. Catalina, I don't live in Catalina. I live in Marana.
Yeah.
I think the name should be more inclusive. I have no problem being part of it. But it's like elitist. Catalina, the foothills, that's the rich people. Well, we're not paupers over here. It's like,
Please.
I have no problem. It's a new year, I'll set my thing up. And $83 and change is nothing. Thank God for most of us, right? but change the name. Make it more inclusive.
So
That's
I
interesting.
actually, you know, I will say that you're not the first person I've ever heard this from. It's jogging some memories from my own time on the executive committee. I will say that I don't necessarily know, and I'd have to double check, but I don't know that I have that authority to make that a unilateral decision on my own.
Oh, no,
And I
you're
haven't
not-
necessarily, I think, really put any thought into it in quite a few years. But I will say this, my memory, if memory serves, I do believe that it was more named kind of after the mountain range as a local landmark
Yeah.
than to be a geographically locked position. But I do understand, and I think I remember, again, from my own time on the executive committee, which is 10 plus years ago now, but I do remember that same sentiment. So it's something I'll definitely take it to the board. I'll take it to the chair. And I think I'll even go meet with the Cat Dems, maybe hear their opinions on it. And you know, we'll see what that conversation produces. I think I will say one thing in general about my approach to this job and to the party is their consensus building. We are the Democratic Party, and I believe in choices that are made by groups.
Of course,
So,
it
but
wouldn't
I also
be
believe in
one person
robust discussion and debate.
and continue. Eric and Shelley set up a thing monthly for people to pay your on a monthly, you know, PCDP on monthly. And
Yeah,
I don't
I
know
remember
that
the name of
there's
the program,
a
but it's
limit
like
on it.
$15.
Oh, Sentinel?
Sentinels, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's minimum, what, $15 a month?
Yeah.
I
So,
know more than that, but yeah.
so all of these are actually, I think, being discussed and looked at by the new board. And we're going to have some meetings over the next couple of weeks about kind of all of our existing fundraising opportunities. And I think I will say that our desire is to both streamline and expand, if that makes any sense.
It does.
I want to make sure I use both words there because I think sometimes that first word can make it sound like you're just narrowing. We do not want to narrow. We need contributions. Which again, I want to say for everybody that is a Cat Dem here or who gives to the party or any of our clubs or caucuses anyway, I want to say thank you again. This work cannot happen without those contributions.
I think we all know that. I mean,
Yep.
with Laura's campaign, all of us, now Laura's there. So now that money that many of us put into everybody that was running, take them off of Act Blue and put them into you guys. Because you're local, you're what we need. So it's definitely, fundraising is vital because you can't do anything without it, you know.
Okay. Well,
definitely-
Lillian Fox has her hand up. Hi, Lillian.
Hi. I'll say one thing. I've been in Tucson for 32 years. I'm a registered Democrat. I never heard of Catalina Democrats before, and I could easily do $1,000 a year. You would have been getting $1,000 a year for 32 years if I had known about it. Now, what I was wanted to talk about is we need to reach out to the Hispanic community and do exactly the same kind of things you're talking about doing to reach out to the younger people and young Democrats. We need to have the same attitude. And I think we are clueless about the Hispanic community. We keep losing to Cisconani or whatever his name is, my congressman, because Democrats seem to think, oh, if you get Raul Grijalva to endorse a candidate or Adelita Grijalva, then they've got the Hispanic vote. No way. We're losing Hispanic voters. They don't turn out at a high rate, and we're getting fewer every year. We need to put a major push onto getting Hispanic voters involved in the Democratic Party. For example, we need to have Hispanic speakers at DGT who are not Raul Grijalva and are not Adelita Grijalva, because they don't represent the vast majority of Democrats. We need to treat them like we do any other politician or any other Democrat. We need to really work on engagement of the Hispanic community. So what are you going to do for the Hispanic community? There really was a question involved in there.
No worries. I just didn't want to cut you off. Lillian, I'm really glad you brought this up. And I'm really glad you started the way that you did, specifically in saying you wanted to hear us talk a bit about doing some of the same things we had just discussed for youth outreach. I want to be very, very clear. That model, that show up, be present, and listen maybe more than you tell. That is my approach to everything in this role. I think that that is really from at least from when I was trained, that was the nuts and bolts of community organizing, and that's that was my entrance into this professionally, was in a lot of community focused local organizing, ranging from some youthful protesting to some just direct aid for our neighbors. And you can't show up saying you're going to help a group of people without knowing what they need first, and you're not going to know until you ask. That's the same approach I take to political organizing. I would also say this is not a question of one or the other. I do not think we should be looking at the communities within our broader community as anything to be taken for granted, as anything that is inherently monolithic or that we claim ownership of. I also, frankly, and I will just say this right off the bat, when we are talking about identity-based communities, whether it is racial and ethnic, whether it is religious, sexuality, gender, or anything else, I think sometimes there is an attitude of, and I want to say less, I think, here in Pima County historically than anywhere else, but we can sometimes almost try to prioritize, well, we know that there's this many voters over here. We know that, that this percentage of the population identifies as such, and we don't always give equal time. That's, to me, just as bad as the first thing we're saying. We're still taking some stuff for granted. This is the county party. We need to be the party for everybody in our county, and that means getting in to every single community that will have us and listening to what they have to say, hearing what they want to do, and what direction they would like to see this party go in. I'm going to have a lot of meetings the next couple months. I know that. I'm going to have to go to a lot of community events the next couple months. But the one thing I want you guys to know, and I said this to Eric, and I have said this to the members of the board before they made the decision to hire me, I am here for and ready for that work. Even if it at times gets uncomfortable, I prefer to be outside my comfort zone.
Can I interject here for
I
a
think
second, Joe?
can I
Please.
finish?
Well, let's let Lillian finish.
Sure.
Okay. I think we vastly underestimate the size of the Hispanic community in Tucson, and that's why we screw up. I look at school districts. Catalina Foothills is not a white school district. You would be shocked at the number of Hispanic kids in that school district. Same for Vail. The only school district I can think of that's a white school district is Tanque Verde. That is truly a white school district. I would suggest you look at the population of Hispanics in Tucson, and I think we'd all change our mind about what we need to do to outreach to them. That they're not a minority at all.
Yeah,
I'm
No.
done.
Lillian,
No, not at all.
thanks so much for sharing that insight. Mike, what you got?
Oh yeah, just wanted to share with Alex something I heard at an executive training the other day. Be an elephant, not a hippo, is the mnemonic. And by that, which is uncomfortable for Democrats, they mean elephants have big ears, big eyes, small mouths, and a very helpful manipulative trunk. So you want to be an elephant. You want to do the work. You want to listen. You want to watch, not speak so much, as opposed to a hippo who has a gigantic mouth and tiny little ears and tiny little eyes. So I thought that was a brilliant summation of how executive leaders such as yourself should act, especially when they come on the job for the first time, is do a lot of listening, a lot of watching, a lot of helping, and very little talking.
I agree completely.
Okay,
We have additional
Excellent.
questions in the chat for you, Alex.
go for it.
Let's see. We got what? Wait. Here it is. I'm gonna go up a bit. What are we doing about CD6? What plans are in the works for taking back CD6 for the Democrats in 26?
I'm so sorry about that. I accidentally hit mute on my microphone. So CD6, as some of you may be aware, pretty near and dear to my heart. I joined Engel's team as a consultant for the last couple months of the general. to kind of help out with some special projects that they had. And I'm very proud of my time, no matter how short that it was working with her and with her team. And it was a devastating loss, of course. What are our plans for it? I think that there shouldn't be anyone on this call who doesn't understand that I believe that district belongs to us. That is, while the lines have changed a bit, that's Gabby's district, that's Ron's district, it's Ann's district. We have had some phenomenal candidates in the past, as well as Congress members out of that area. And one thing I think that many of us are probably aware of, though, given the history of that district, there's a good chance there's going to be a pretty crowded primary in the future. Can't say for certain. And but I bring it up just so I can have this caveat of we cannot put our fingers on those types of scales. But going back to what we said, I think in the governor's race, is making sure that we have a party infrastructure that builds on the successes of the last couple of years so that we can help those candidates in however they need it. That really, I think, means for a congressional race, working with their staff and their consultants, and the D-Trip, if both, the D-Trip and the campaign choose to have their involvement. We need to be good partners, and we need to make sure that we are able to be boots on the ground in a general, that we are able to provide resources to any of our candidates in a primary so that we can have the most successful nominee. That is, I think, the most we can say about CD6 without knowing who the players on the board will be. But I feel confident that we'll have some good ones step into the arena.
Yeah, well, I'll just note that midterms are going to be more difficult than a presidential election year. So yeah, whoever our nominees are, they're going to have a big hill to climb. Let's see, we got I have a direct message. So anonymous, how do people sign up to use the recording studio at PCDP headquarters? Is there been an established workflow as to how to register and sign up to do that?
Not yet. And it's something I know is going to be more formalized. For the time being, you can reach out and what can help you schedule that time. You can reach out through HQ, just call or to email, or to me directly, same method, and we'll get you scheduled. We are, as we've communicated to a few people who have reached out hoping to use it, not going to be scheduling folks for the next week or so. One, we're still getting some technical training ourselves on some of the stuff, and we'll make sure we actually can convey the right information to questions that people have. Two, again, I'm learning the light switches still, so I want to make sure that my focus is really on kind of the foundational aspects of this role and making sure that I don't take my eye off of any of the kind of crucial beginning of the year balls that are in the air, so to speak, before we start having folks in. But within a week or two, absolutely, we'll get you scheduled. And if you want to reach out now, we can start those conversations.
Excellent.
Great.
Well, I'll put a bug in your ear now. I've been thinking about maybe doing a podcast called "Speaking to the Mic" with interviews with local community leaders and office holders. So you can probably take that one to the bank. I'm kind of excited about the idea of doing an interview show.
I was
Yeah,
one that asked that question because I've talked to one of the young reporters from Green Valley Democrats who we would like to put a podcast together. He is about mid-20s, and so we've been talking about how do we talk to younger voters? How do we talk to people in southern part of the county that are more rural than urban? And what does it look like for our rural voters? And how do we talk to them about water that's different than urban? So we're looking to try to maybe put a podcast together to talk about many of the subjects here in Green Valley or southern part of Pima County. I'll be in touch with you, Alex.
Yeah, please be in touch. I would like to say that I would love to have some more rural voices, especially some young rural voices, utilizing these services. And I will also say, obviously, we can schedule you to come in and use the studio here. There are some parts of it that, from my understanding, are somewhat modular. They could be moved to locations as needed at times as well. So I'll have to get a better kind of view and understanding of which pieces can be. And if it's, sometimes it's easier for me to bring stuff down there, well, hey, we can figure that out too.
Okay, thank you, George.
you.
And let's see, have a thought for everyone. It's hard to kind of focus on being positive when we have days like today and days like January 20th when Trump's inaugurated. But we've got to look at areas where we have been successful. And I think Alex led off pretty well with that. And one campaign that I continue to really, I really look forward to their emails is Ruben Gallegos. If you want to see how to run in any part of Pima County, whether the whole state of Arizona too, Ruben and his team had a strategy that I think you want to take a look at. And in fact, that would be a great meeting to see if we could get Ruben to come and visit with us. They just didn't win because they won. They had a great strategy reaching out to the Hispanic community. They did things like a Hispanic rodeo. They had activities. There wasn't like Alec was saying, oh, we can count on this, we can count on that. I don't think they took anything for granted.
No, I can say from my interactions with his team throughout the last year, I don't believe they did either. I will say that I think that Ruben had a really phenomenal team, and I think that they had a really overall amazing outreach strategy. While there's many people that were on his team that I think did a great job, I will just take this moment to I will just say this as a career man behind the curtain. I always love to kind of give a little shout out to the other people behind the curtain, so to speak. And I will say that some of you might know this name, some of you may not, but Eric Chalmers out of Phoenix was a general consultant for Ruben. And I would put him in, I think, the top 5 kind of minds in the state on our side of the fence. He is really brilliant. And one thing I can always say is I've never once had a conversation about any election where I saw him take anything for granted, no matter what the numbers were.
Yeah.
It's a very, very sharp person. And I think he also, of course, had a uniquely good and talented candidate, too.
Yeah.
There are some really big shoes to fill in this role, starting with my immediate predecessor, Shelley, Miranda Lopez before her, who many of you know someday will probably be my sister-in-law, Shasta McManus, Adam Kinsey, Joshua Polachek. There are so many people who have held this position who have all left their mark on it and been incredible at it. And I feel very blessed to count so many of them as people that I am personally close to, and as people that I'm already annoying with repetitive questions about what they would do in any given moment or scenario. But I really want to thank my predecessors for everything that they've done for our party and for our county, and also maybe let you guys know that I promise to listen to their advice, because much of it is sage.
Cool. Maria, you have a question.
Yeah, I just want to say that number one, congratulations, Alex, and I appreciate your genuineness and commitment. Everybody, all the Dems, especially because we have Dems in higher office right now, they reflect. So the Dems downstream, right? So this community is looking at outcomes. So if you could get folks down here from Department of Economic Security to talk about access, full transparency, I'm a Medicare agent. I am on the phone all the time trying to help folks get access benefits. The 30-minute to 40-minute wait online. I have my hairdressers trying to get renewed childcare assistance. So all they see is Dems in office. And if we can't provide positive outcomes at the top, they then reflect to the bottom of the people who in the local offices that are trying to get elected, okay? And outcomes is really, in my mind, I'm like even questioning, even though my first president was Dr. Jimmy Carter, that I elected for, but I'm an outcome person. At 68 years old, I want the party of outcomes. And if people can't get through to access and things of that nature, why not bring them into Pima County and tell us? I mean, I hear people are retiring out there. They can't fill jobs or people. I mean, as I say, you cannot get services. And since the Dems are in charge, it's going to reflect. So let's think about the idea of being the outcome party. You know, we
Well,
want
hey, thank you,
positive
Maria, for your insights and your hard work. And I think
40
we
minutes
should.
on hold
Joe,
with access.
I think she did have a question up at the beginning, and so I just want to make sure that if it's
Sure,
okay with you, I
sure.
know we're running close to time, but I want to make sure that I get a chance to answer it.
Okay.
So I would say that I think we all probably agree with that basic premise. Whatever the most prominent Democrat in an area does or does not do, or is perceived of doing or not doing, does radiate down. That is part of just the party brand. And we do have to learn to live with that. One thing I think with the county party, you asked specifically about bringing, say, folks in from DES. I'm definitely open to pursuing it. There are some legal restrictions that can make sometimes a political party working directly with government agencies and services a little difficult. So I can't say we're always going to be able to do it, but I'll reach out and I'll get a legal opinion and I'll reach out to offices and see who's willing. The one thing I think we are on board with an agreement here at the county party already is that we need to do a better job of trumpeting Democratic successes in ways that are accessible and easy to understand, and in ways that tangentially people can jump off of and take action for their own lives. I always think about during the pandemic, it was very easy sometimes to understand. You would get an email, it would say, fill out this form for your free COVID tests. Go here to get a vaccine. There was these things that were very actionable that were coming out from the government, which otherwise can be a little convoluted. Anything that we can do to help make that a more streamlined process, and especially as a communications effort, is something that I want to make sure that we are focused on. The other side of this is making sure that while we do have control of the executive office of this state and quite a few of the statewide ones, no elected official in the United States exists in a vacuum. And unfortunately, in this last election, we did not flip the legislature as we'd hoped to. We had some wins, but we didn't flip it in the way we wanted to. And there are obstructionists in that legislature. So I think we need to do a good job of showing Democratic successes. We need to help connect people with the outcome of those successes, but we also need to do a good job of explaining the good ideas that Democrats propose and are trying to pursue in our state government that are shot down or obstructed by Republicans in the legislature, and make sure that that is communicated, that what this would have done, how it would help you, and why it was important and why it's not happening. And I think we are very on board with that here at the county party.
And Maria, thank you for sharing that. And Alec, thanks for responding.
I was just brought to the realization by this morning's paper. Today's date is January 6th. Okay, it's 4 years. 4 years. And they think it's a wonderful day. They do. So, you know, what are we going to do about that to convince people that that is not the way a democracy works? So anyway, just food for thought.
Alex, you've been a great guest, and we all wish you the best of luck, and we look forward to working hard for our Pima County Democratic Party.
See you guys, and thank you again for having me. It's always a pleasure, really, to see all of you. I feel like I knew most of you before this. For those that I'm just meeting for the first time, it's great to meet you.
Hey everybody, it's Senator Mark Kelly. As all of you know, Arizona Democrats have had a lot of important wins over the last few years. We won 2 U.S. Senate races, and we delivered Arizona's electoral votes to President Biden and Vice President Harris. We elected Governor Katie Hobbs, Secretary of State Adrian Fontes, and Attorney General Chris Mays. Now, those elections were close, and our victories mattered. Arizona Democrats from the federal to the local level have delivered real results for our state on critical issues like combating climate change, lowering prescription drug costs, protecting the right to vote and preventing more restrictions on abortion access. The Democrats of Greater Tucson offers the opportunity to hear from elected officials and candidates about that important work and the issues that matter to them. That information will be invaluable as Arizonans head to the polls. So this election cycle, whether you're signing up to knock doors, make phone calls, or joining the Democrats of Greater Tucson to hear from and speak to Democrats in our area, please know that your voice matters and we need you on this team. Thank you.